Hello everybody, Disciple here with Overwatch Curios. With such a wide variety of heroes to choose from in Overwatch, it's only natural that some heroes have a bigger learning curve and skill cap compared to others. Throw in team synergy and timing skills needed to maximize performance on some heroes, and you'll end up with a pretty decent divide between simple, moderate, and difficult heroes to play and master. Today let's take a look at our list for the top 5 hardest heroes to play in Overwatch, which is based on strategy, mechanics, decision making, the necessity for teammates who work with you, and more. Now let's get started. First off is my favorite hero of all, ZARYA. ZARYA is a unique and often underrated tank because of her aggressive playstyle and difficulty in mastering. At first, her basic mechanics seem simple enough. You run in, you put shields on people and yourself, and you shoot the enemy with your laser gun. But it's absolutely not the case, as you've got to be mindful of a lot of things right from the start of the engagement. While most players' first instinct on ZARYA is to use her shields preemptively, it's pretty difficult to use them that way and it doesn't often pan out. They have a long cooldown and need to be used at just the right moment, since they make Zarya's weapon so much stronger and you really need it to do any damage. Reactively shielding a target or yourself right when you're about to take damage, or when you're already taking damage, will maximize your own damage output. But you still have to time it just right to make sure the target doesn't die to the damage they receive before and after your shield, which makes it a really tricky ability to use considering they take so long to recharge and you basically just have one shot. If you mess up, you're dead. Failing to do this one mechanic properly will make ZARYA a liability to the team instead of an asset, because not only are you not shielding your friends from damage, but you're also not really doing much damage yourself if you aren't able to use your shields properly. Now, assuming you've mastered the art of the shield, you have to consider the primary and alternate fire as well. You have the close range laser for consistent damage, or the AoE damage from your long range bombs. Both of them can do great damage if you use them well, but they're actually pretty tricky to use, since using your primary fire actually requires quite a bit of aim and tracking to really stick onto someone, especially someone mobile like a tracer, and your long range bombs definitely take some time to get the hang of when you are trying to shoot at someone on the other side of a wall or at a very long distance, and missing it could really mean missing out on crucial ultimate charge and on poke damage. Mastering these skills is absolutely key to mastering ZARYA, and it's really tough when compared to a much more straightforward hero. Graviton Surge does pretty much 0 damage, so you really need to be able to follow it up yourself or work with your teammates to make sure that it's useful. If your weapon's charge is high because of good shield play, you can mow down the enemy team in just seconds, but otherwise you'll have to rely on your teammates to pick up the slack. And while combos are great using Zarya's ultimate, being able to single-handedly take down the enemy team all by yourself is when you know that you've got your Zarya skills locked down. Now, Tracer is a very interesting hero and can do an absolutely truckload of damage while being arguably the most annoying hero in Overwatch to deal with. Unlike Zarya, there isn't really a whole lot of combos or abilities relying on other abilities that you can do. Sure, you can use her ultimate in combination with Zarya's, but other than that, Tracer is pretty much a solo player. The reason why Tracer is so hard to play at a high level is because of 2 factors: positioning and aim. Now, while aim is a fairly basic mechanic and very straightforward, positioning is something that a lot of players may have trouble grasping. While making a mistake with a tank hero isn't necessarily too punishing, Tracer is a glass cannon and any damage to her can be catastrophic because of her very low health pool and lack of self-healing outside of her recall. Her dual pistols do a huge amount of damage if you can empty both of them onto a target accurately, but you do have to be in the proper position to do so, and that usually means right up close in the fight. While you are moving around the enemy team trying to dodge around while dealing damage, it can make aiming incredibly difficult, since a blink to the side will completely throw off where your crosshairs were on your target's head just a second ago. Next, you have to consider where you are at all times, where you were 3 seconds ago, and where you're going to be after you blink. And if any of this is confusing to you while you're playing Tracer, then you're probably just going to die before you can really get much done. You have to think about your health, your ammo, your cooldowns, any debuffs on you that you might want to remove, and so much more. If you miscalculate that 3-second recall window, you could be put back right into the middle of a team fight, or in a position that you can't get out of, or just right over a hole that you fall into, which actually happens way more than you'd think. Now pull this off correctly and you can go from 20 health and 0 ammunition to full health and ammo in the blink of an eye, ready to deal all of your damage again. However, it's also very easy to just mess up. Next, using Blink properly can not only get you across the map super fast, it can also help you dodge incredibly fatal shots and abilities and confuse your enemies. Using Blink just before being struck by a Hanzo arrow or Roadhog hook, or blinking out of a May Blizzard could save your life without having to use that recall that you might need for a more serious situation or for the heal. The idea is that in mastering Tracer, it's a combination of positioning, timing, aiming, and knowing all about when you can and can't engage, as well as just being able to do enough damage to actually kill people, since if you're just an annoyance but you're not actually pressuring the enemy DPS and supports, then you're really not doing your job on Tracer. Overall, Tracer's job is simply just a lot harder than a lot of the other DPSs, but it can be incredibly rewarding as well, which is why Tracer is such a fan favorite. Now, this list definitely wouldn't be complete without Genji. Watching others play Genji at a high level makes him look pretty easy, but there are so many moving parts to mastering Genji that it can easily make a player frustrated and make your head spin when you're trying it out yourself. Avoidance is Genji's #1 ability, sort of like Tracer, but his options are often tied directly into his damage potential as well, so you kind of need to have one without the other. The way it works is pretty straightforward. When engaging, your job is to do damage at a medium to close range while avoiding damage by using your double jump, dash, and wall climbing abilities. Now, Genji does a pretty decent amount of damage with his primary and alternate fire, but to really get the most out of them, you need to be constantly hitting your target, which means that while you're jumping and dashing around, it makes aiming really difficult. Now next comes the defensive part. After you've engaged from the flank and surprised your enemy, they're going to retaliate and try to either get away from you or take you down. You've really only got 2 ways to defend yourself at this point, which is Genji's deflect ability, which can be used as damage as well, and the mobility options you mentioned before, including that dash. If these abilities are on cooldown or otherwise can't be used effectively, Genji's pretty much a sitting duck waiting to be taken out, and you can be killed incredibly quickly if you're caught off guard. The best Genji players seem like they never touch the ground, yet they still do insane amounts of damage and they're constantly hitting their targets while barely getting hit themselves. Those players have not only mastered dealing and avoiding damage, but doing so while moving all the time and just never stopping. This is a very difficult set of abilities to master because the pace of Overwatch is already really fast, and then you want a player to jump around like a madman and throw shurikens while deflecting shots back at the shooters with even more speed. Play someone like Widowmaker and at least you're not moving while your opponents are, but play someone like Genji and if you're not constantly moving, then you're probably just dead. Now Genji's ultimate is terrifying, but it's really only scary if he can manage to get to the targets and kill them fast enough to avoid being eliminated. Traps, snares, stuns, and just being killed are all things that Genji has to avoid while using that Dragon Blade, and it really puts him in a very dangerous range of a lot of other heroes. The ultimate doesn't give him any defensive abilities like increased health or armor or damage reduction, so he's just as likely to be taken out by high damage abilities as he is when he's not ulting, so avoidance is still just as important. Surprising a group of enemies by coming in from the flank or dropping from above with Dragon Blade is the best way to avoid that damage and get the most out of the ultimate. He's extremely hard to pick up, play, and master, but arguably the most satisfying to play once he is. Now, Ana Amari is an odd hero for sure. She's classified as a healing support, but she's also one of the most potentially deadly heroes on the roster and a very powerful sniper. By herself, this support can heal from low to full, 3-shot most heroes, render someone completely unconscious for 6 seconds, and do it all from a really long range. She can one-shot heal her team with her grenade, constantly heal with her rifle's decently sized magazine and very quick reload time, and enhance a teammate's capabilities with her ultimate, which can easily end in a team wipe and make some serious plays. The primary reason she's difficult to play is the fact that she's actually very complicated with all those different abilities, and you have to essentially play 2 different roles at the same time to effectively master her. Your first and primary role is as a healer, of course, and she does a great job of it. Shoot your friends, throw a biotic grenade into your entire team, keep everyone alive, and charge your ult for a sick play. That sounds easy enough until you consider that each of your friendly teammates are also jumping around, shooting at something different than you, entering and exiting your line of sight, all while spamming "I need healing" constantly. So there's a lot of pressure there to make sure that your heals are on point. Unlike Mercy or Lucio, you actually have to hit your allies with the darts for them to heal, and unlike Zen, it's not just an AFK heal over time, so you have to constantly hit them. Being situationally aware is absolutely necessary at all times with Ana, as losing track of allies and the team at any point could mean people dying really quickly. But that's not it. The second role you have to play is secondary damage dealer. Now you can definitely play Ana purely defensively and focus on nothing but healing, but you'd be cutting out a large portion of her potential and it really wouldn't be too effective at the highest level. Her darts do a significant amount of damage even after the nerf, and her sleep dart is arguably her most invaluable ability. Stopping McCree's Deadeye or a raging Winston in mid-ultimate, not only life-saving but extremely satisfying, and Ana is the best counter to another Ana. Also, damaging enemies, just like healing allies, will charge your ultimate, which is always a good thing. Speaking of her ultimate, using that at the right time on the hero is crucial and can actually be a little difficult, especially if there's a tricky Lucio somewhere on your screen, which will always absorb that ultimate from you. Mastering Ana is quite difficult because it forces the player to not only have good aim, timing, and awareness, but to do so with 2 roles in mind, all with very limited mobility. I'm definitely impressed by any good Ana players out there, but she's an extremely rewarding hero to learn. Now, she's not the newest hero anymore, but one of the later additions to the roster is a powerhouse of potential that really few take the time to understand and master. Sombra is our game's first stealth hero, and she's classified as an offensive hero, but her role isn't necessarily to do a ton of damage by herself like someone like Soldier or Pharah are. Instead, she's responsible for supporting the team with hacked health packs, hacked enemies, and backline picks that help push or defend. Her main thing is her hacking. Sombra is able to hack various things like enemy heroes or health packs that turn the fight in her team's favor. Not only are health packs denied to your enemy, but they recharge twice as fast for your team, and the healing that they do helps your ultimate charge faster. You can also hack things like turrets to make them not fire at you, or of course hack your enemies to shut down their abilities for their duration, except for the primary fire. Now that hacking may seem pretty simple, but it comes with a lot of difficulty behind it. There's the positioning of being able to hack from a safe location, there's the target selection of knowing who exactly to hack when, since if you just hack willy-nilly then it might be on cooldown when you need it to stop a crucial enemy ultimate. Any damage taken stops the hack in its place, so you have to sneak up on them in stealth or with a blink, which is also incredibly difficult to manage. Now, all the time we see Sombra players using their stealth as a getaway mechanic, which is the complete opposite of its intended use. Stealthing takes a second to kick in, and not only that, but any damage instantly brings you out of it. It's clearly much better to use your stealth to get into a fight, and then use your abilities in there instead of just escaping. Now, her escape mechanism is her translocator, which has a limited duration and can be tricky to place, since if you blink right back into another enemy, then you're as good as dead. Translocate too early and you won't do enough damage and hacking to even matter, but translocate too late and you might just die before you're even able to press it. Her weapon does quite a bit of damage, but it has such a large spread that you have to be very close to do any real damage. And her passive ability to see low health enemies through walls is one of the strongest parts of her kit, but it's also incredibly difficult if you have so many other things to manage that it just becomes too much information for you to use effectively. Knowing how to use every single part of Sombra's kit is incredibly difficult, but also very rewarding, and all in all, Sombra can be an extremely useful and team-enhancing hero if you're on point with the timing, aim, positioning, use of the hacking, use of the ultimate, and your support hacks. Otherwise, you just fall behind. It's a lot to take on all at once, making her very underrated and misjudged as a low tier hero, but also being one of the hardest heroes to play in all of Overwatch. So mastering any of these heroes is difficult, yet extremely rewarding, and I definitely encourage all of you guys to try out anyone that you've been a little afraid of because it could really surprise you. At first I thought that Zarya seemed a little bit boring and then a little bit too difficult, but when I really started playing her, I absolutely loved her. And whenever I feel like a challenge, I definitely try to pick someone like SOMBRA or Tracer that I'm really not very good with to just see how effective I can be in a match, trying to use all their abilities, even if I do end up doing pretty poorly. I'm also curious to know what you guys thought of the list and if there are any heroes you think should be on it that we didn't end up putting on. Anyway, that's going to be it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.